Welcome once again here on Regional Radio Sports Network. My name is Paul Counter. Glad you could hop along here today. I'm the president and founder of Regional Radio Sports. Welcome to Holy Cross Women's Basketball Media Day. We're thrilled to be joined here by the head coach as well as the athletic director here at Holy Cross College at Notre Dame, Tom Robbins. Tom, first of all, I know it's an exciting time. This time of year, you and Mike McBride, your men's counterpart, counting down the days to getting the season started. Get a chance to kind of look at your roster, kind of comb it over, trying to look at some things that you want to improve of. But let's start from the get-go. You only have to replace Jada Miller, who Blake gave you solid years during her time here, but only one gal to replace, and that's pretty good. You're coming off the best record in school's history. Excited about those type of situations. So obviously we've got some kids coming back from injury. Kaylia Hannibal is one. Specifically, you've got two of the best players in all of the NAIA, and Grace Adams and Jordan Smith. As the old rock and roll song says, future's so bright you got to wear shades, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we felt like last year was our big step forward, you know, get over the hump sort of thing. And this year we're looking to take this thing on. You know, the girls' goal is, as communicated by them to me, not the other way around, is to get to the national tournament this year. So, you know, we're trying to get in the top couple in the conference to be able to do that. Well,
I love what you just said, what the girls said to you. I know when you first started, that's what you were trying to say to them, because this part of this very, very talented class, and a lot of them come from Penn High School. We mentioned Jordan, and we talk about the great career that Grace had over there. But let's talk about now that role has changed, where you know they're kind of driving the bus now. It's got to be a really neat thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we strive for, right? As coaches, is to get ownership from the players. And, you know, they've taken ownership of the program, not just on the court, but in every aspect. It's a regular part of my routine now and schedule when we have recruits on campus to leave them with the team, because it is their program in their mind, and that's what we want to have. So, you know, when it's ownership and self-propelled, it's a whole different deal when you're coaching. You're now really being able to get into the fine details and really, you know, get the execution exactly where you want it to be, because you're not trying to sell buy-in and all that stuff. The players are selling that, and the new freshmen, you know, the transfer coming in, they're listening to the older players about, or the players I should say that have been here, about how we do things, versus listening to the coach and trying to figure out if that's really true or not.
6 players returning who played in all 29 games last year for the Saints, and Carly, Neva, we already mentioned Grace, Laura Morris, Audrey Talent, and then of course Jordan Smith. Let's just start with those 6 who've got all that valuable playing time. And then once again, we're not even talking about Kaylia Hannibal, who got injured after, you know, in her 3rd game, and she would have been a starter probably the whole year too. So let's talk about the value experience that the Super 6 did from a year ago.
Yeah, and they're very young. You know, Audrey Talent and Jordan Smith starting most of our games last year as a freshman and sophomore. You know, Lauren Morris is our first recruit that we have here. She's, you know, was junior last year, and that was kind of leadership.
Sure.
You know, of course, Jada was there as well as a senior, but the leadership coming from a junior who's coming back this year. So it's been a great core, you know, and it's been easy to add to them as we are looking for our new recruits coming in. We have this identified core that are carrying our values forward that we're then trying to add to. So it's been a great situation. You know, obviously in my 5th year, so just getting started at Holy Cross, to have a group like this to lay the foundation of the tradition for the program has been huge for us.
You're bringing in 4 freshmen to the program, and obviously if those 4 freshmen are going to play any pivotal roles, they're going to have to be pretty talented, and I know you're excited about that. But I want to specifically talk about, you mentioned values. Values are important. What are the values of the Holy Cross women's basketball program?
Yeah, we talk about 3 things, and they all start with an S, so it's easy to remember, a little alliteration there. But it's sisterhood, selflessness, and service. And service to us is servant leadership, based on the teachings of Jesus Christ in the Gospels, is what we try to get across. We want to emulate that. It starts with me as the coach, to coach with a servant's heart. And it's supposed to roll downhill through the assistants, through the seniors, all the way down to where the freshmen are getting acclimated to that idea. We talk about an inverted triangle for leadership.
Absolutely.
So your leadership model, traditional leadership model of a triangle with the leaders at top and the base of the triangle supports the top is what we want to flip on its head. What we have is the leader at the bottom. The point of the triangle is at the bottom, and the bottom serves the top. And at the top are the freshmen. They're just learning what this is about, and as they become sophomores, we want them to turn the corner and understand a little bit more. And by the time they're seniors, we want them to be almost assistant coaches in terms of their mindset.
All right, let's talk about things statistically. When we look back on last year, one stat that as a sportscaster I'm looking at all the time is, how many turnovers per game do you have, and how many are you creating? You guys were an eye-popping +7 and what I call the giveaway takeaway. I know that's a football term, but it's still important to this way. You've turned the ball over 14, but you've taken it away 7 more times. So let's talk about the emphasis on being active defensively, the ability to deflect balls, to get into passing lanes. Let's talk about how important a stat that means to you.
Yeah, it's something that we put a lot of time into. We want to put a lot of pressure on the offense. We want to make them uncomfortable. We want to disrupt what they do, and we do that in a lot of ways. We talk about getting into the minds of our opponents versus getting into the bodies of our opponents. So we want to get into their decision-making process and disrupt that process. And that can look different based on who we're playing and what the scouting report is. But we get our full court press involved there, and we're looking for read and react situations. But then we'll also do that in the half court with certain teams as well. We want to take away what you do and put you in positions to make you uncomfortable. And then when we do that, and we track, a big part of that is tracking deflections. We want to get our hands on the ball in terms of deflecting where the ball is going, catching it a little higher than where it's supposed to be caught in the offense and that sort of thing. Disrupting that catch, versus a catch and shoot situation, disrupting that catch, so now they have to get the ball into their shooting pocket and into a scoring position before they can do something with it. But the other part of that I do want to highlight is, I think since we've been here, the defensive pressure and the deflections and all that stuff has been kind of there. But what hasn't been there is the turnovers, right?
Right.
We've had high turnovers as well as our opponent. And this last year, I think that was the biggest difference on making the 7-point differential, is the 14 turnovers a game. And a lot of that went back to the 3 girls that I mentioned just a bit ago, Lauren Morris, Audrey Talent, and Jordan Smith at our guard positions. Really did a nice job this last year of taking care of the ball. So we were still getting it on the other end, but we weren't giving it up like we had in years past.
Last year you averaged 74 points a game, gave up 67, so once again you're in that +7 situation. I know that you want to improve on your free throw shooting. You were right around 70% last year. I know your goal is in the 80 percentile. From a three-point standpoint last year, you were at 30. Your goal is 33. And then in the rebound department, you guys were dead even at 42-42. So and a lot of that has to do with Grace Adams' uncanny ability to be able to find the ball. She is such a high basketball IQ on knowing where the ball is, to anticipate where the ball is going to go. So let's speak to some of those other statistical categories, because if you're going to continue on this streak of 2 consecutive winning seasons, some of those things are going to need to be improved.
Yeah, absolutely. And Grace Adams is a great place to start that conversation. I mean, what a player. What a player she has been. Coming into her junior year, and if her career stopped right now in terms of freshmen and sophomores, she would have great numbers for our program, and she's only halfway through. She's been tremendous for us. She set the bar very high for me on recruiting post players. We're out recruiting. We're trying to replace her, thinking about 2 years from now when she's gone, what will we have behind her? And it is really hard to find what she does. She's tremendous. Great rebounder, great finisher around the basket. Does a great job getting up and down the floor, the athleticism. Last year, she was the basis for our rebounding efforts, and once again, our team was a tremendous rebounding team, and really helped us, particularly on the offensive end, getting extra possessions and extra shots at the basket, and she was the base of that. So, we need to continue that going forward, And I just think that she's going to have a heck of a season ahead of us, and somebody that the conference is now well aware of. I think she's been a little bit of a secret, and that secret came out last year. But her junior and senior year, she's certainly going to be at the top of the scouting report. I think she's just going to excel there.
Both Grace and Jordan Smith both started 29 games, played all 29 games. Mentioned to Jordan Smith, 14 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. When your primary distributor is in the 4 rebound category, once again showing her ability to be able to be uncanny with finding loose balls, crashing the boards when she needs to, following her shot. All those typical situations are really, really good. So we can talk about her. She also, I think, plays a very cerebral game from my vantage points as a sportscaster, and all the times that I watched her. I just think her ability to allow the game to come to her versus her trying to kind of push the issue is something that I think is really. We talk about +7 in points, +7 in giveaway, takeaway. I think all those kind of things kind of goes through Jordan. She is kind of like the pilot of the ship.
Yeah, she is. Tremendously intelligent player, and she's got a warrior's heart. So, she's got the brain and the heart, and then the skills. Obviously, she's been our leader on the court, and that's 14 turnovers a game last year had a lot to do with what she brought to the table. But then her ability also, I think her ability to know when to get her teammates involved and when to take her own shot, I think is probably the best part of her game. It makes things tremendously efficient for her, or for us, I should say. She's putting up really good numbers in points. And if you see a lot of times with teams that have a point guard that scores a lot, sometimes they're not really efficient teams, and the ball's not getting to other places. And it's just not the case with us because she's has such a great balance in the way she brings that to the table. And by doing that, puts us in a great position. 2 more years left with her as well. This is where our program needs to go. It's what we've been talking from the beginning, and we're in great hands with Jordan Smith taking it forward.
Well, let's speak to the talents, if you will, of Audrey Talent, Lauren Morse, as well as Neva Longhofer and Carly Sprouting. All 4 of those gals also played in 29 games. All play different roles, but pivotal roles in the overall team picture.
Yeah, Audrey Talent and Anna Talent. We were teasing around when Anna was a freshman and Audrey came for visits. Her family said we're going to have a lot of talent on the team next year when Audrey was already committed. Tremendous in the different things that they do. Audrey's such a great passer. She put some highlight videos together last year on her ability to find people down the court and pinpoint her passes. She looks like an NFL quarterback at times, running our fast break and what she's able to do getting down the court. And then Anna's a completely different type of player, an athletic player that's a shooter. She was at 35% last year from 3, which is above the average for what we want to have at 33. So she was over a point of possession on her percentage from 3 and brought that to the table. And then Neva Longhofer has been, she's a senior for us. She has been a hustle player for us. Last year she started knocking down the 3 a little bit in games, and we saw her doing that in practice since she was a freshman, but was able to do that in the games last year and hit some big shots for us. But she's always brought a lot of energy to the team, always brought a lot of enthusiasm to the team as well.
All right, so you've got some other key kids coming back into the program, but you have 4 freshmen, all with varying interesting coaching backgrounds from their high school coaches, as well as a tremendous amount of success in regards to where they were at in high school. So let's talk about your incoming group of 4 and talk about how are they fitting in here in the early stages. And once again, we haven't played a game yet. We'll get to the schedule here momentarily, but talk about how they're fitting in.
Yeah, they're really doing well. Our older players have embraced them and brought them in, and there's great chemistry between. That was my biggest concern. We're bringing in, a handful of new players, and we had such great chemistry last year. So what do the new players do with the chemistry? And they've just stepped in like a hand in a glove. They've done really, really well with that off the court stuff. On the court, they're learning and getting involved, and that's a big part of being a freshman is understanding new habits and new ways of doing things. But they've been tremendous for us. Linda Smith has been out with a knee injury coming in from the summer, so she hasn't had that time on the court. But the other three have been great. Lily Toppin has just come right in, and she looks like a sophomore out there. She really does. She looks like she's already played a year of college basketball. We'll see what happens when the games go up, but she's looking that way in practice. And then Anissa and Jaden, they're two players in unique situations. They're both guards, coming from good high school experience. And probably the strength of our team is at the guard spot. So they're playing against some of the best players on our team every day in practice, which is a huge challenge, and it's a challenge that they're meeting.
One exciting thing that's happening on the horizon, which will happen in second semester, is Trinity Clinton, a local product, is transferred. She'll be eligible in the second semester. Division I talent coming into already a talented group of gals. There we go with that talent thing again. But let's talk about how she can impact the game when she gets a chance to put on a Saints uniform.
Yeah, and she's been practicing with us and looks great in practice. She played with Grace and Jordan in high school and was their leading scorer. And I don't know how many people know this, but she's the all-time leading scorer in Penn girls basketball history, which is quite a feat. That's a great program that Christy's doing over there, and to have a player that has that kind of a stat behind her is tremendous. But she's such a powerful and explosive player. Yesterday in practice, I didn't tell her this yesterday, but I noticed it. She had a particularly good practice yesterday and really putting a lot of pressure on people. She's just so hard to stop going to the basket. You get her going downhill, and you want to get out of her way. But she's got great control at the same time that she's doing it. Really gets off the floor well. She's a strong built girl, but she's got tremendous verticality getting off the floor, and she's got a great first step. And she combines it with a confident three-point shot. She's somebody that can knock down that three on you as well. So, once we get her in a Saints uniform on game day, I don't know that the conference is quite ready. I think IU South Bend and IU Northwest are ready. They know, they've been in this state recruiting, and they know what it's about. I'm not sure the Chicago area schools know what's coming for them.
Well, be forewarned. There you go. Let's talk about the mindset that you have in building the non-league schedule. You play 4 teams in the Crossroads League, always a very, very competitive league. In addition, you're going to go out to Kansas and play a couple games out there against Benedictine and Baker, so as well as IU Kokomo is on this slate. Give us an idea as you put this pre-non-conference slate together, the importance of playing those high-energy, very competitive teams.
Yeah, and we don't have a lot of opportunity with the size of schedule we have for our conference. So it's particularly important now at the NAIA level with the way the at-large works for the national tournament. We're in a situation where if we win our conference, we get an automatic bid. If we win the conference tournament, we get an automatic bid. But outside of that, it comes down to whether you can get that at-large bid. And we have very few opportunities to play quality programs to show what we can do outside of our conference. So thankfully, we're in a geographical region where we're very close to these Crossroads League teams, and the Crossroads League every year gets at-large bids into the national tournament. So to be able to put a schedule together with them on it is particularly important for us. So, and it makes sense for us financially as well. So you get a double benefit from that. This year we are going out to Kansas City. As I mentioned, Neva Longhofer, a senior for us, she's from Kansas City. So we're going out there for a classic, getting into her neighborhood. That's something that we wanted to do for her in her senior year. So we did have to take a couple teams off the schedule this year to be able to do that, one of which we hated to sacrifice because it was it was Spring Arbor, another Crossroads League team that we've agreed with them to pick back up with them in the future. But we wanted to be able to go out to Kansas City and do that with Neva.
Then when you take a look at the landscape of the Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference, it is a distinct possibility that 1-2 is right here in St. Joseph County, Indiana, with IU South Bend and Holy Cross. And then you could even potentially make the argument, because IU Northwest has everybody coming back, that the 3 best teams could be IU Northwest, IU South Bend, and Holy Cross, not in any particular order, but that could be how this league plays itself out.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. I don't know that the rest of the league is quite ready for that or believes that that's coming, but I think it's extremely possible. Not only are the 3 Indiana teams reaching a peak and becoming, moving forward with their programs. IU South Bend, Coach Bruce has been there for a while, and they've always had success, or, last number of years anyway. But this year in particular, with the transfers that he has and the recruits that he has coming in, with a couple of the fifth-year, COVID-eligible seniors that have been carrying him, they're probably going to have the best team that he's had there. And that's saying something, because he's had some really good teams. And then with IU Northwest, obviously, with Carruthers coming in from Butler. It's not every day that an NAIA school gets a transfer from the Big East all-freshman team. That's quite an elite accomplishment for them. So, but then we're right there. We're right there moving forward as well. So, but I think when you combine that with the fact that possibly the Chicago schools might be going in the other direction. St. Xavier had a coaching change as of 2.5 weeks ago, I think. Their head coach got a D2 job out west and left, and they've got an interim coach situation this year, so that certainly is something to deal with. St. Francis lost the best player in the conference for the last 2 years, as her graduating year. She was tremendous for them, and an absolute handful for us. We were trying to get an answer and never quite got an answer for her, and she was extremely tough to deal with for everybody. But now with her gone, they're looking for new leadership. So you're talking about 2 schools right there that have been at the top of the conference that have significant questions. Olivet Nazarene is always there somewhere in that top 4, so we'll see what happens with them. But I do think the power of the conference is starting to shift east a little bit, but this season will be what tells that.
Well, it can be Indiana basketball. That's what they said in the movie Hoosiers. All right, open it up against Ancilla, Southwest Michigan Community College. Those are the 2 per se games that you're going to warm up with. Those certainly don't count, but those are scrimmages, if you will. And then you open it up right here at home at the File Center inside there against Huntington. So you excited?
Very excited, very excited. And we're starting off with a bang. I don't know if people know, but Huntington's had, coaches know, Huntington's had a great recruiting class. They probably had the best recruiting class in the state among NAIA schools. So they're going to be a totally revamped situation this year, and to get them here at our place, and we beat them at their place last year in a close one, so that they have that in mind as well as they come back here. It's going to be a great start to our season.
Once again, Saints basketball all season long right here on Regional Radio Sports. You can join Tanner Camp, yours truly, maybe even throw a little Pac Dirksen in there on it, and a little JP Jobert. So make sure you stay tuned for Saints basketball all season long right here on the Regional Radio Sports Network. Tom, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Thank you.
Best of luck to the Saints this season. And once again, thanks for joining us here for Holy Cross College Basketball Media Day. We'll be back with Mike as well as some of the student athletes on our other channel, so stick around for that. All this coming your way, courtesy of Regional Radio Sports.